What's up? What's happening? Welcome in. It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980. We're always live as well on the Odyssey app, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn. Streaming live on YouTube at the Team 980. Anthony, I think as I'm, again, in the studio that doesn't have air conditioning, you're in the producer studio that doesn't have air conditioning, I think we should make the fans a part of the show. Right now, they're like, I got one like underneath there. There's another one below. I mean, it probably feels better blowing in my face than blowing in my back. But I feel like we should just put all the fans on camera and just like look like we're in some kind of asylum. There, Anthony's showing the people on YouTube. There, he's got one there. There's the big one in the corner. That looks like a whole HVAC unit fell out of the ceiling. Yeah. Good times. Good times. So it's a Vibe Check Tuesday. Honestly, vibes are good, despite the fact that there is no AC. Like, it's actually not that bad in here. I do wonder if I could close the door, how it would feel. How does it feel in there with your door closed?
It doesn't feel. I mean, this fan is literally blowing air right at me, so I'm like, cool.
Yeah, like I feel kind of cool right now. Like if I close the door, or I can't tell if Russell's looking at me for like. Can Chris Russell hear my voice right now? I don't think so. Which is very different, as discussed an hour ago, than when he does the show, and people can hear him at all the different hallways in this entire state. Oh, Anthony is now, he's coming to close the studio door. Bye, Anthony. He's closing the studio door, and now we can say all the mean things we want about all our colleagues. Just kidding. We're going to be very nice. I would like Anthony to go back and... Anthony, I need you to do the show. Get back in there. Talk Chris Russell in a break. Not during the show.
Chris was heckling me, man.
Yeah, just ignore him.
He said, you realize it's hot in there, right? I said, yeah, I think Craig is okay, though.
Yeah, like, I don't know. There's just, like, some things as a radio host that you don't do, and doing a show with the door open is one of them. That's just kind of how I feel.
So how do you feel now that the door is closed?
A little stuffy.
Okay.
So we might just have to suck that up for today and as many other days as we have the show and no air conditioning. All right, so with that, today the Burgundy and Gold Scrimmage went down at Commanders Park in Ashburn. I think this is just like overall, I like this idea from Dan Quinn, especially Anthony, considering the lackluster performance in the preseason. Like he talked about how upset he was with the level of competition in that game. How they just didn't play with they didn't bring the play style, the physicality, the want to, all the things that are signature of what it means to put on that burgundy and gold jersey these days. And I think giving players a chance to do that with a message that that's what we're going to be about, and putting like Bobby Wagner is out there and Sainer still is out there popping Luke McCaffrey, to have the juices flow and to be like, who's going to show up? And I think it also is an opportunity. Like, look, you got to make sure you protect your teammates. At the end of the day, these are not your actual opponents. These are your teammates. You have a responsibility to not mess up their availability. And so, like the Sainer still hit on Luke, and what was the other one on the sideline that got a lot of attention? Noah Igbenogany hit somebody.
Oh, he hit C-Rod.
Yeah, that's who it was. It was C-Rod. And there was like a bit of a skirmish. There wasn't a huge, like it was a bit of a kerfuffle. There wasn't like punches thrown or anything, but like DQ stepped in and was like, whoa. In a way, the guys, and like I put Noah Igbenogany in this category. Noah Igbenogany is not an amazing NFL football player, but like he does play. There's a reason Dan Quinn keeps him around, and he's played for DQ in multiple places. Like that dude plays hard, really hard. And a guy like Sainer still, who's a young leader on this team, like him being like, y'all gonna come to play or not? Like that makes sense to me. And even though I don't love that their hits were hard enough that it put guys at risk, I do like the intensity that they bring. And I think what it does is it separates the guys who are playing like that and bringing that play style very clearly from the ones who are not. So if you see that and you're like, oh, we're going to bring it like that, you either get on board or you're like, oh, no, I don't want to play. I'm not about that life. And you're not. And DQ's going to see that. And so will Adam Peters, and your name's going to be on the wrong side of the cut list. depending on just how good you are. But certainly if you're someone that's on the fringe, and there's a lot of this roster that is, I wouldn't say there's a lot of this roster that's on the fringe, but there's certainly a high number of guys that are either on the fringe or trying to establish themselves as worth playing in real games with real snaps. I do like this environment that they created today as a bit of a separator on the guys that are about it and the guys that aren't. And I think guys like Sander still showing up and being like, I'm about it, shows the leadership in a weird way, because you also have guys like, I think Luvu was on one side of an argument and, Wagner was on another, where it's like, hey, we're going to go. Like, this is how it's going to be. And then I think it was Frankie, who's like one of the most violent players on the team, that was like, that's your teammate. You got to protect him. So I think all of that, honestly, is good, because it shows like a fight, a competitive fire, a respect. Like, there's elements of all the things that you need to come together in a large locker room. And thus, I am a big fan of what they did today for those reasons. Nevertheless, it's a way to mix up the monotony of training camp, and we know that training camp is hellaciously monotonous.
Yeah, I mean, do you also just think it served as a wake-up call just for, like, everybody? Like, the season's going to be here sooner than we know. We don't want to come out the gate slow. We want to come out the gates hitting hard, running full speed. And the performance that, we put out there on Friday just wasn't indicative of what we are and what we hope to be. So let's, switch up the tempo a little bit. Let's go full throttle today. And then also, let this be a tune-up for our next game against the Bengals in Cincinnati, and let's go out there hitting. Everybody's probably going to play against Cincinnati, and let's have that same level of intensity that we had today against our teammates on Monday as we prepare for the season.
Yeah. One, yes. Two, I think there's actual additional benefits to that, to what they did today, right? Like, it lets Cliff and Joe be head coaches, and it lets guys like Tavita call plays. Like, there's a lot of benefits to stretching everybody's imagination, but it's also in a way like kind of cross-training. Like, obviously the players, you have that intensity element that's good. If you're Cliff today and you're a head coach, like, you get to see what it's like from Dan's seat. If you're Joe, you get to see what it's like. If everyone else is like kind of getting bumped up a rung on the ladder, or you have more responsibilities than you typically do on a day, like, it's going to give you a different appreciation for what your job is and a different perspective on it. And so it's a chance for, and then on the player level, guys to play with different players. If it's always the ones or always the twos, yes, there's some cross-training depending on the group. But, like, how often does, I'd have to go back and look at the rosters to give an example. So if I say two players that wound up being on the gold team together or the burgundy team together, forgive me. But, like, how often do Kane Medrano and Bobby Wagner get to be on the field at the same time, right? If Luvu's on one side and Wagner's on the other, by nature, those two guys are playing with some guys that they normally don't play with. That's good. One, because it could happen during the season if someone gets hurt. And two, it gives you a different perspective. Like, if I'm Kane Medrano, I'm valuing my snaps playing next to Bobby Wagner. I can learn something there. And so I think that, and if I'm Bobby, I'm not taking anything for granted, because I'm now playing next to a rookie as opposed to Frankie Luvu. So it's good for everybody to cross-train, get some different reps, get some different looks. And I think we are now getting to the point with the Bengals game and the back half of the preseason that it's time to start preparing for week one. And, like, okay, less cross-training, more let's get cohesion amongst the group. But these are those final chances to do those kinds of things. And I think it's really valuable on top of just the intensity that I talked about and you talked about, where it's like, what does it feel like when the juices are flowing? And they got the chance to experience that today. When we get back, though, how do you feel about this? How do you feel about the team in general? We're just a couple weeks. Let's see. Today is the 12th. So we are basically 1 month from the season. In fact, are we 1 month exactly from the season today?
Isn't the first game like the 8th?
I think you're right. The first game's the 7th. So we're less than 1 month to the season, where the Giants are at Northwest Stadium, 1 o'clock on Sunday, September 7th. So, how are we feeling about this club? We know the first loss in the preseason was ugly on the scoreboard, We got the Terry situation floating out there. You've seen all the reports from the scrimmage today and all the other things that you've been consuming all camp long. So this feels like a really good time for like just a true, genuine, how are we feeling going into the season vibe check. 301-230-0980 is the phone number. 301-230-0980. Your call's next on The Hoffman Show. The telephone number to call this fine radio program is 301-230-0980. 301-230-0980. I will also tell you real quickly before we dive into our Vibe Check Tuesday. You will not want to miss the show tomorrow. You definitely do not want to miss the start of the show tomorrow. That is all I'm at liberty to say right now, but you will definitely want to tune in tomorrow to start the show. And before I talk myself into more than I'm supposed to say right now, I'm going to keep things moving. So tomorrow, don't be late. And if you are, you better catch up quickly.
Can I be late?
No, you cannot be late tomorrow. You cannot be late tomorrow. Craig, move on before you say something you're not supposed to. Ready and go. 301-230-0980 is the phone number. It's a Vibe Check Tuesday. Commanders hold the Burgundy and Gold scrimmage today. And a good point by our guy Ford in the YouTube chat. He reminded us, Anthony, that we have not just a game coming up on September 7th, but because week 2 is Thursday Night Football, 30 days from now, we'll have 2 Commanders games under our belt.
Okay.
Because they have that week 2 Thursday Night Football. So with that,
quick.
yeah, let's go to Jack. Jack, with less than a month to go to the season, how are we feeling about the Commanders on this Vibe Check Tuesday?
Hi, Craig. I feel like I shouldn't be this nervous because we have JD5 and all that. But I just feel like the old saying, you practice the way you want to play, kind of makes it a little bit concerning that we haven't seen the starters yet. And I know we'll see them more this next preseason game. But I have an analogy that I don't know if it makes sense or not, but I know that the NFL has put the restrictions on padded practices, and the Players Association is in favor for, less intense practices, less violent practices to avoid injury. But if you were a NASCAR driver and your only practice for driving in NASCAR races was parallel parking, or if you were a surgeon and your only practice was doing the game operation, I just don't see how you flip that switch so quickly. So, for example, if we do majority not padded practices and not taking people to the ground and not getting to work the full ability to block and tackle and all that, how are we supposed to suddenly adjust and ramp up to 100% intensity when the games come, if that makes sense?
No, it does, and I would say the surgery analogy is probably a lot better, but they also don't let people practice. You don't get to practice surgery on, patients. That's not it's
right.
They use cadavers and things like that, which I guess in this now we're twisting the analogy probably far more than it needs to be twisted. You've got your bags and your things that you do. And I think there is an argument to be made about the quality of the game and how much it suffers and the risk and the reward. And actually, would the game be safer if you practice some of this stuff in a controlled environment in the preseason? What I would say to that point of it, Jack, though, is everyone in the entire league is in the same boat. So there's no competitive advantage or disadvantage for the Commanders not being able to practice this stuff because nobody else is either. I think the key, and Dan Quinn did a really good job of this last year, and I think has done a good job of it overall, even if it didn't show up in the preseason game against New England. And I think we can talk about some of the other reasons why that score got to go so sideways in a second. But he keeps a really high energy. He demands a certain level of attention to detail and intensity and integrity to the job that will help this team in the long term. But I on your largest point where you started, Jack, I also feel like I shouldn't be this nervous about this team because of Jaden, because of the people in charge that I trust. But it just feels like there's a lot of stuff that isn't in the place that we were hoping. And that obviously human nature means that you're going to be a little uneasy about it.
Yeah, and I know we didn't have our strongest performance week 1 last season against Tampa Bay, and things finally seemed to click when we got to the Bengals game. And I just hope that we're ready for Giants come week 1, because we may not have too many games where on paper we look clearly like the better team, and that might be one of them.
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point. Obviously, last year, Jack, thanks for the call. Last year with Tampa, you had Jaden never having played an NFL game before, and his learning curve was so tremendously fast that by week 3, he's playing awesome. And, moving forward, it's just, they didn't even punt for 2 weeks. And this year, going into week 1, he obviously has that experience, and I think he'll be just fine. But I just wish, you wish the Terry thing was settled. You wish some of the other receiver stuff was settled. You just wish you felt like you knew, but that's also the nature of week 1. It's one thing if you are the Chiefs a couple of years ago and you win the Super Bowl and you bring pretty much everyone back. You've got Mahomes, you got Kelsey, you got this, you got that, and just you kind of know what you're going to be. Even to an extent, teams like the Bills, like you know a lot about what you're going to be. I guess they've got some questions defensively. Baltimore, you feel like you know what they're going to be, but I think the NFL, the not for long is not just about player careers or other things like that. It's also nothing is ever in place for that long ever, and it's a constantly changing, evolving league. And once you think you've figured things out, someone gets hurt, someone figures it out and becomes better, someone gets benched, whatever the circumstances where things just tend to change. 301-230-0980 is the phone number. Let's go to Curtis the Sigma. Curtis, you're on the Hoffman Show.
How you doing, Craig?
I'm good, bro. How are you?
All right. I was telling Anthony, I feel pretty good about him. I do have a level of concern, but it's not a big level of concern. I think they'll be a better team than they were last year, but I don't know if their record will be as good because there are a lot of good teams in the NFC. And I just hope they get the Terry McLaurin thing resolved because I don't want them to get off to a slow start, especially with us playing Philly so late in the season. When we get there, I would like to have a shot at the division when we get to those last 3 games, playing Philadelphia twice. And that's a concern. If we start off slow, Philly could run away from us. But other than that, I feel pretty good about it.
Yeah, I hear you, Curtis. I appreciate the call. And obviously, I think it's real easy to be like, hey, it's early. And I think, you have to be able to have 2 thoughts at once. One, those early games count in the standings the same as the late ones. Like a win week 1 against the Giants counts the same as a win week, whatever it is, 7, I think, that you're at Kansas City on Monday Night Football or whatever week that is, right? All of the games in the standings count the exact same. If you want to say the division games count double in that you can give, your top opponent a loss. Like I hear you on that, but they're all 1 of 17. Your form, if you will, is something that is going to evolve over the course of the season. You are going to constantly be trying to get better. You don't want to peak too early. You don't want to be playing your best ball in September. You just want to play well enough to win. And you have to be able to, I think, hold those 2 thoughts at once. But if you were to drop a silly game at home against the Giants, for instance, in the opener, that against a team that you just flatly should beat because you come out flat, and that sets a bad tone that obviously puts you in a hole in the standings. That's not a good thing, to say the least. 301-230-0980 is the phone number on a Vibe Check Tuesday. Very simple question today. The truest, the purest of vibe checks. How are we feeling about the Commanders going into the season as we are basically dead halfway through training camp? Let's go to John in Columbia. John, thanks for calling. You are on the Hoffman Show.
No, thank you for taking my call. My grandmother would call you a jewel without a price. It's a great show.
Wow.
Let me just tell you, I feel just as good about the team as I did at the end of last year. I didn't enjoy the Eagles' loss, but we were there. You know why we were there? Because we learned how to win football games. You don't just sign up. You don't just sign players and win football games. You are taught to learn. You have to learn how to win. You have to manage your losses so you can improve. And that's what we've done. I've got the utmost faith in this coaching staff, the offensive and defensive coordinator, and the players. I feel really, really good without a hint of reservation at all. We are good to go. We're good to go. I won't sleep on the Giants, though, because I know what we have to do. The Giants have an outstanding defensive line. I won't sleep on them, but I do believe that our offensive coordinator and our number 5 get that ball out quick and we can roll. Thank you for taking my call. Hail to the Commanders.
Thank you, John, and thanks to your grandmother for hypothetically saying that nice thing about me, even though John was just, I think, using his grandmother's language to say what he thinks.
That was the ultimate compliment.
Man, my heart is fluttering right now. Whatever John said, that's correct. That's 100% correct. No, I think that if you can maintain the optimism through the topsy-turviness, credit to you. Because I actually think that's probably the correct take. It's probably a clear-eyed view to be like, you know what? These guys are pros. They've got it under control. But I think I always, like journalistic nature, you never want to ignore stuff. You just want to put it in the right context. So I don't want to pretend like the Terry thing or some of the other turbulence this team has faced isn't something that could derail them even minorly, maybe majorly, probably minorly, because then you don't want to get caught flat-footed and by week 2 be like, oh, we should have seen that coming, right? So you just kind of like, just pay attention to that thing over there. Make sure we don't run over that nail in the street and flatten our tire. We know the nail's there. I wish someone would pick it up. But by the same token, I don't think you want to get too far ahead of it and be like, guys, we have a flat tire. And it's like, the nail is a mile away. Just relax. 301-230-0980 is the phone number. We have your calls, or Anthony and I are going to hold a draft that had something to do with today's Burgundy and Gold scrimmage next. So really up to you. Ring us or don't. Still to come on the show today, Ben Standig in half an hour. An hour from now, Don Vanada, ESPN investigative reporter. Oh, man, he is like a pig in slop right now, waiting. If you didn't see yesterday, John Gruden won his case against the NFL in the Nevada Supreme Court, meaning that case where he is alleging the NFL leaked his emails to get him fired from the Raiders because many of those emails contain terrible things, including some about Roger Goodell, that can go to discovery. And if you don't remember all the details, the emails that those were pulled from were from the Beth Wilkinson investigation into the Commanders. Like many of those emails that got him in trouble were sent to Bruce Allen. So are we about to learn more terrible things about Dan Snyder and just pour dirt on his grave, if you will? We will talk to Don about what he thinks is in that, why this is happening, and what's next for Gruden in the NFL coming up at 5:30. Right now, though, we continue on a Vibe Check Tuesday at 301-230-0980. Let's go to our girl, Mill. Mill, what's going on? Thanks for calling. You're on the Hoffman Show. How you feeling about the Commanders a month away from the season?
Hey,
I'm good, Mill.
how you doing? Hey, thank you for taking my call as usual, Craig. I'm feeling really good about this season. I know the Terry deal will get done. I'm not really worried too much about that. I know Adam Peters is going to really do whatever it takes to make sure Terry is well paid, well compensated, and everything. I just really want him to at least try to get into somewhat of this offense, even if it's the last preseason game or I don't know. But I think he'll be ready as well. But I'm very much looking forward to the defense, this newly revamped defense. I was telling Anthony, just seeing how we couldn't stop the run last year and just looking forward to, the Johnny Newtons and, Frankie Louvu and even Von Miller just kind of having that added twist to it. And at the same time, having these cornerbacks, Amos just been having a lot of praise during this off season and training camp, and as well as seeing Jeremy Reeves. I heard he was taking some snaps with the ones, and so I'm just looking forward to the defense. And I know the offense is going to deliver, but just definitely looking forward to this newly revamped defense stuff. Correct. So thank you so much for taking my call, sir.
You got it.
Enjoy the rest of your day, guys.
You as well. Great call as always, Mill. I am actually, Anthony, very much looking forward to the defense as well. I think because of how much of a question mark it is. And the fact that I think some of the answers they have are good. There are real questions, but I also think there are actually real answers, which leads us to an activity that I thought of 4 minutes before the show. And I'm kind of embarrassed that it took me until 4 minutes before the show to think about it. But I'm excited for this. Anthony, I think it's time for us to have a draft.
Let's do it.
Because the Burgundy and Gold scrimmage today was, they had to split up the teams. And so I thought it would be kind of fun if we could draft our own teams. Because, whether you're Cliff or I'm Cliff, you're Joe or I'm Joe, one of us is Burgundy, one of us is Gold, we can just draft our own teams. So, how are we going to decide first pick here?
We could rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Sure.
I can see you.
I know.
You can see me too.
I know.
All right, here we go.
All right, you're on shoot, just to be clear.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Okay.
All right.
I can't see your hand. There we go. All right.
Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
All right, so you get first pick.
You know where I'm going. In 5, I trust JD.
Yeah, that's the obvious one. Okay, thanks for doing the easy one. Also, I'm like, do I have a pen? Are we writing this down somewhere? You got?
I'm putting a sheet together.
Okay, I got docs open, but things aren't computer. Whatever. The point is, the second pick of who is the next best player on the Commanders / who would I want the most for an intra-squad scrimmage is kind of fascinating. I think, and also, hold on, real quick. We should have said this. This won't affect your pick because basically, no matter the circumstances, JD is the number one pick. It's Terry and the injured guys available.
They weren't available today, so no.
Okay, so Terry's not available. Okay. I think I'm going to go Bobby Wagner, which I don't think he's the second best player on the team necessarily. He's not far. But I also, if I'm thinking about, okay, you got Jaden, I want my team captain on the other side. I think I'm going to go Bobby.
All right, you're going Bobby. I'm leaning on my offensive attack. I'm going Laramie Tunsil.
That's what I thought you would do. Okay, I am going to take away your safety blanket then. I'm going to take Zach Ertz, which I think is a pretty fascinating thing to think about. The fact that with my first 2 picks, if I'm doing a Commanders Burgundy and Gold draft, I'm taking a 34-year-old linebacker or 35-year-old linebacker and a 34-year-old tight end. 2 positions not necessarily known for their value in drafts, at ages not particularly known for drafts, but if I'm building a team to beat you, which is really what this is about, then I'm taking away your favorite target. I'm getting either Sam Hartman or Josh Johnson, whichever quarterback I eventually take. I'm getting them the best target on the team that's available. And I've got the mastermind of the defense on my side.
I like where I'm sitting right now.
Yeah, I would too if I were you. You probably have the 2 best players on the team.
With my 3rd pick, this one might surprise you. I'm going Trey Amos.
That feels aggressive.
Overdraft?
I think that's an overdraft.
It's okay, though, Craig, because
I
have a plan.
You have a plan. Okay. So in Formula One, I can't believe this is where my brain just went. So, like, in Formula One, if there's two cars from different teams that are leading the race, right? Let's say it's McLaren and Ferrari. If the Ferrari or if the McLaren pits, often the Ferrari will follow to do what's called covering them off. Because they want to make sure that, like, the new, fresher tires, with the strategy doesn't matter. It's called covering off. Basically, whatever you do, I'm going to do to make sure that we're on the same strategy. There's a part of me that wants to take Marshawn Lattimore because of that, to cover off the corner position, to know that I'm not going to get stuck. However, I think there's enough other players that I could look at. Or is there? No, I think I'm going to do that. I think I'm going to cover off. If we put this draft without context on social media, we would get shredded for this. Marshawn Lattimore.
You stole my pick.
Okay, I'm now glad I did it.
It's all good.
Also, not doing a snake draft is really screwing me.
Yeah.
I'm just constantly chasing you. I am this is for the 5 people that listen to the show. Actually, more than 5. A lot of people watch Formula One. I am definitely the Ferrari here. I'm just in second place. You are definitely the McLaren.
Where do I want to go here? Okay, you went Marshawn. I think I'm gonna go Quan Martin here. That's
not a bad pick.
I'm gonna go Quan.
That's not a bad pick at all. However, I don't think it's the optimal pick. I am gonna go.
Go ahead.
I still think Deron Payne's the best defensive lineman on the team. I'm gonna take Deron Payne.
I like it.
And I think that's a good value pick.
I like it. It's okay though. Now I'm going Mikey here.
Oh, that's a good pick. I'm kind of annoyed at myself for that one. No, I'm not. Deron was a good pick.
Deron was a good pick.
Mikey, that's a great pick out of you. All right. I know that I need someone to anchor my offensive line. You already took Laramie. Sam Cosme's ineligible because he's hurt. Give me Biotish.
Ooh, hey, that's a hell of a pick, Craig. Woo! Dang.
We'll go one more pick each, take a break. We'll come back. We'll finish it up. We'll see if we can get an entire starting lineup for the both of us.
Dang, man. All right, here we go. My next pick, Connerly.
Wow. You went with the rook early.
I'm going with him. I think I really could have waited on him, too.
Yeah,
I felt the pressure.
Yeah, but the pick is in. The pick is in. All right, I am going to go with – I'm between 2 guys. I'm going to go with Debo.
Okay.
I'm going to say Debo Samuel. If I can get him – now I have a veteran center. I have Zach Ertz. I have Debo Samuel. I'm putting together an offense that's got some good, easy buttons for either Sam Hartman or Josh Johnson. Oh, I still have Marcus. I get Marcus. Marcus didn't participate.
He didn't practice today.
Sam Hartman or Josh Johnson with a pick later in the draft. Okay. That's like half of our teams. We're going to see who winds up with it. Then maybe we can make like a poll or something on the internet and we can have people vote which team will win. We can also screenshot this and send it to Ben Standig and be like, Ben, which team is going to win? Because Standig's joining us at 5, Vanada at 5:30. We got a pick 6 at 6 coming. We're locked and loaded here on the Hoffman Show. First, before all that, a look at what's trending. It's the first and who knows, maybe last ever Burgundy and Gold draft. Gotta see if Dan Quinn does this scrimmage thing again next year. It's the Hoffman Show here on the Team 980. Ben Standig in 15 minutes at 5 o'clock. The Commanders held an intra-squad scrimmage today, so Anthony and I took it upon ourselves to try to draft our own teams to see who would get the best team. So, Anthony, I'm now trying frantically create a spreadsheet because that's how my
I got one
brain is.
already.
Can you share it with me?
Oh yeah, my bad.
That'd be very helpful because now I can stop creating this one and I can do it. Anthony had the first pick. He took Jaden Daniels. I went Bobby Wagner actually second because I was like, let me get some Jaden Daniels kryptonite. Also took Zach Ertz. Anthony's got Laramie Tunsil. So
I just sent it.
You did excellent. Anthony Haney shared a file with me. He sure did. Yeah, phone. That's me. Look at my face. All right. It'd be really cool if I could get this on. Oh, but you did it. You did it pick by pick. I was gonna try to create a spreadsheet by position. That way I could see what I needed. I was doing more strategy. See where the holes are. See where the blank spots are. Whatever. This will work. We're smart people. Anthony, who you got? You got the
Javon
next pick.
Kinlaw, sir.
Oh, you went Kinlaw. Okay.
Stop playing with me, man.
All right. So Anthony's team is currently Daniels, Tunsil, Amos, Quan Martin, Mike Sainristil, Josh Connerly, Javon Kinlaw. I've got Wagner, Ertz, Lattimore, Payne, Biotish, Samuel. And that leaves the guy that I wanted to take next, too. I'll take Frankie Louvu.
Oh, my God. What a pick.
You kind of just forgot about Frankie Louvu.
Me too.
I'm saying you forgot about Frankie. I did not forget about Frankie
I
Louvu.
did. I'm over here looking at the roster, too, and
I'm doing this off the top of my head.
Oh, there he is now.
Stop playing with me. Stop playing with me. How about that?
That was a great pick. After that, Mr. Craig Hoffman. This gets tough. You know what I'm gonna do?
What's that?
I'm going back to the trenches. Give me Andrew Wiley.
Okay, that's a smart pick. I like that. Let's see. I've got him. Now I'm doing my positions to make sure that I don't mess things up here. I've got those two guys. I've got him. I feel like I probably also should go offensive lineman, but I don't feel super strongly about any of the guys that are left. Am I really going to go Nick Allegretti here? No, I'm going to take Brian Robinson. I can take the guy who's probably the best available player.
Okay. Hey, look, I love that for you. After that,
Now we're getting into backup land, except for
now we got some starters out there still.
We got a couple.
Give me. So I'm trying to figure out if I want an every down defensive lineman or a situational guy.
This is tough.
All right, give me Dorrance.
Oh, that's a good one. That's someone I think I kind of forgot about. I'm going to go Johnny Newton, and I'm going to hope that Johnny Newton has a good year. But I think from an upside talent standpoint, he's probably one of the better guys on the board unless I go pure situational.
And now that you have not taken my other guy, give me Von Miller too.
Yeah, I guess that's probably smart. All right, I'll cover you off on the DNs. I'll take Dietrich Wise.
Okay.
Oh, I probably should have just waited on that.
Who was your guy that you took after Wiley?
I took Brian Robinson.
Oh, Brian Robinson. I didn't write that down. Okay. Let's see. Okay, I got some pieces over here, Craig.
So do I. We're running out of pieces. That's kind of the point.
After that, I don't have any linebackers. This is bad.
Yeah.
So I might have to go small. Give me Will Harris.
Dang it. That was literally the guy I was about to take.
Give me Will Harris, sir.
All right.
Good luck.
All right. Well, son of a gun. Son of a gun. All right. We can play games. I have some positions that are just really strong. Give me Austin Eckler.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna do something else with.
Look, I'm not worried, man.
This, but we're going pony backfield, bro.
Hey, look, I love that for you.
And I got Samuel. I hope that I'm Cliff. Because if I'm Cliff, we got the creative juices over here to do some stuff. To overcome the fact that we're starting not Jaden Daniels.
You're right.
I don't have an offensive line to do anything of it with, but we got the skill positions covered.
Yeah, you do. You need a quarterback that's going to get them the ball. Here we go. After Eckler. All right, I'm going to go Luke McCaffrey. I do need a receiver.
Yes, you do literally need a receiver. Well, then I'll take Jalen Lane. I think I just got the better receiver.
You taking Jalen Lane?
Yeah. So I've got Debo and Jalen.
And I got Luke.
And you got Luke.
Noah didn't practice today, right?
Nope.
Terry didn't practice today, right?
Nope. That's why I was like, I'm just take Jalen Lane and mess up your day.
Yeah. So, thanks, Craig.
You're welcome.
All right, my next pick, I will be taking. I'm gonna take my guy Bill.
I thought about taking Bill, but I was like, Eckler's actually the more prudent pick.
You already took him, so I'm like, I need a running back. Let me get Bill.
All right. I'll take Jonathan Jones. Now taking a backup, I need another starting corner, and Jonathan Jones provides real depth at that position.
Yeah, that's a good one.
So I'll take Jonathan Jones.
I forgot I could have moved Mikey to the outside.
You could for the point of the scrimmage,
but you just took Jones.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go Ben Standig here. I'm gonna give my guy a chance.
Not a bad pick. I thought about going. I'm not gonna say that. I'm gonna go Percy Butler here because I need safeties. I don't have either of them.
Okay.
And I feel like definitively
Jordan McGee didn't practice today, did he?
He did not. You're really by leaving me Wagner and Luvu, you really put yourself in a bind.
Yeah, like, can we trade? Can we trade one player?
Yeah, you want to give me 5?
No. Negative. Who am I gonna put next to Kinlaw? You got Deron. All right, let me get Eddie Goldman.
That's a good pick. I probably should start filling out this O-line with something. I'll take Trent Scott, and I'll put him at left tackle because I literally don't know what else I would do.
Yeah.
Because you got Wiley. Wait, you got Wiley, Connerly, and?
Yeah, one of them's playing guard.
Son of a gun.
Yeah.
I got a blank spot at right tackle. I literally don't know who's going to play over there. I might, if we're going based off who we think is going to make the 53, I am literally out of dudes. Also, it would be John Bates at that point.
Are you sure you don't want to trade?
Are
you sure?
I mean, you would trade me Wiley for Luvu?
Yes.
Okay, I would do that.
All right, bet. Say no more.
Wiley for Luvu. Hold on. Wiley for Luvu and a pick swap. I get the next pick.
Okay.
All right. I want Medrano.
Okay. That's smooth. All right, we go. We got Luvu. All right, we in good standing now.
All right, now I'm in a place I can live with now. I was in deep trouble.
Who'd you say? You said Medrano?
Yeah, I got Medrano.
Okay, so now I'm chasing you.
Yes. Got to get the pick swaps in, bro.
All right, let me get he didn't practice today.
Who? Coleman?
Bobby Price.
No, he didn't.
Dang.
Yeah, we're running out of players.
And
we got to start moving because Ben Standig's coming up in 5 minutes.
Are we taking specials?
I mean, we're like, unless you want a guy that also plays specials, but we're trying to get an offense. This is a scrimmage.
I'll just take KJ Osborne.
Okay, that fills that spot. All right, I got Nick Allegretti playing left guard. Thank you for that.
You're welcome. I guess I'll take Michael Dieter to play my center.
Dang it. Oh, he didn't practice. Give me Tyler Owens.
That's a good one.
So I got Butler and Owens at safety. I'll live with that. I guess you get Revo then.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'll take Revo.
All right, I'll take Noah I at corner. And I need a D lineman, a right guard, and a quarterback.
You took Tyler O. I took Noah I.
No, I took Noah I.
Oh, I got Reeves.
Yeah, you got Reeves.
Your
pick.
I need. Let me get Ja'Cory Brooks. So I'll take.
Oh, okay.
It's a little bit of a reach, but the coverage is beer over here, receiver.
Yeah, on the D line, on the edge, I guess I'm between two guys. I'll take the pass rush juice. I'll take Jacob Martin.
Jacob Martin.
Yeah, it was him or because Javonte Jean-Baptiste is out. It was either him or Jalen Holmes.
Yeah.
Actually, kind of my squad is all right.
All right, I'm gonna take Cam Arnold as my other linebacker.
All right, because you have to. Who is available for me to play right guard? Julian Good-Jones?
Yeah.
All right, sure. And then who's your pick?
Yeah, I'm missing a left guard.
So Anthony's got left guard. Whoever's next on the rotation, I've got Josh Johnson at quarterback. And then I think our teams are complete.
Oh.
So I've got Johnson at quarterback with Robinson, Eckler, Samuel, and Lane, Ertz, Scott, Allegretti, Biotish, Good-Jones, and Wiley. And then Wise, Payne, Newton, Martin, Wagner, Madrano, Lattimore, Jones, Igbenogany, Butler, Owens.
It's not bad.
It's not bad. The Wiley for Luvu trade really.
It helped me a lot.
It helped me a lot too. I had Babushka on the offensive line. That's not even a proper use. I had Bubkiss on the offensive line. My Yiddish is backwards. Anyway, the point is, that was fun. I enjoyed that. We'll see if we can get a screenshot of both teams to Ben Standig and see who wins our scrimmage. Or maybe I'll ask our boss to come down. He's floating in the hallway. Who won the scrimmage? When we get back, Ben Standig, everybody. It's the Hoffman Show. We're on the Team 980, always live as well on the Odyssey app, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn. You can check out our podcast if you miss any part of the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcast. And a reminder, you do not want to miss the show tomorrow, especially the start of the show tomorrow. I can't really say more as of right now. Just a quick, hey, I told you. See you tomorrow at 4 o'clock. See you there. But it's 5 o'clock, and at 5 o'clock, we do this.
Today's top story from the perspective of someone who's there.
You are looking live.
This just in.
Not my beat.
Ben Standig is with us as the top story of the day is the Commanders' Burgundy and Gold scrimmage. Ben, who are you rooting for, the Burgundy or the Gold?
Well, we were joking, or I don't know if we were joking, but trying to gauge, like, if this was a real game, what would the point spread be? And I would have thought that Jaden Daniels' side would have been close to 10, and I definitely would have lost. So,
yeah.
There we go.
He was on Team Burgundy, Team Gold won, correct?
Yeah, Team Burgundy scored 0 points.
Oof, not good.
The Gold team with Sam Hartman and company facing the second team defense had 2 touchdowns in the first half, so to speak, and they were the clear winner.
So, Ben, Anthony and I, in the last half hour of the show, went through an exercise where I thought it was like a fun intellectual exercise, and we actually did a draft of the team. We pretended that we were Team Burgundy and Team Gold, and just hey, we were going to pick sides for an inter-squad scrimmage, and we're sitting in a room, and one of us is Joe Witt, and one of us is Cliff Kingsbury. Let's just alternate picks. Jaden obviously went first. This is not who is the best player or second best player on the team in real NFL football, but for the purposes of this inter-squad scrimmage, who would you have taken second?
Are we including Terry McLaurin?
No, we're taking out all the injured guys. So it had to be people that were eligible and on the field today.
I think I'd go Laramie Tunsil because I don't know who else is a left tackle on this team right now. Unless you're going to move Connerly or Coleman, but I'll go Laramie Tunsil.
Okay, that's a good pick. I went Bobby Wagner because I'm if you're going to have Jaden in the brains of the offense on one side, I'm going to take the brains on the other side and hope that Bobby just makes everyone better. But Laramie went third, and that is probably, in hindsight, I think that is probably the correct answer. One, I think at this point in their careers, Laramie is probably the better player. Left tackle is a positional value, and while I don't know who else is a Mike linebacker on this team, not having a left tackle, I did wind up having to put Trent Scott there, and that definitely has me holding my breath in our very fake scrimmage that is never going to happen in real life.
Yeah, no, I hear. I when Dan Quinn first announced they were going to do this, I was thinking, oh, they're going to do a draft. Then I'm like, oh, wait, then I realized, oh, no, actually, this isn't about my entertainment. This is about preparing for the season. So of course you're going to have the offense stay together and the defense stay together because that's the whole point of this. It's not just for S and giggles. So it's a fun exercise. I've been debating if I'm going to do that on my podcast, and maybe you've just inspired me to try it myself because I think it'd be a fun exercise.
It was a fun intellectual exercise. I highly recommend it in the off days to come. Okay, so enough about our hypothetical draft. What happened in the real scrimmage today? What was the most interesting thing, whether it be the format, some actual action on the field? What did you take out of this thing that Dan Quinn organized today, this Burgundy and Gold intra-squad scrimmage?
Yeah, I mean, it's not like we don't see the first-team offense against the first-team defense every practice. The difference here is that it was a sustained situation. It wasn't exactly a true drive, like a pass catcher wasn't going to just keep running. They just stopped the play wherever they caught it kind of deal. But, it was not just 3 or 4 plays and then you move on to the next group. They stayed with it. Jaden Daniels played the whole time and so on. In terms of the play, I think Washington's defensive front was really the dominant force in this game. They were getting pressure up the middle from the outside. They were constantly it's very, very rare to see Jaden Daniels look uncomfortable, and he did, I thought, here. But again, I'm not putting it on him. He's missing 2 starting guards because Brandon Coleman is still out, and obviously Sam Cosby's out. no Terry McLaurin, no Noah Brown. I'm sure you guys have talked plenty about the concern at the outside receivers if those guys aren't there. And so you put that together, and yeah, the Burgundy side just could never get anything going, and the Gold side with the first-team defense, really played better. I don't know. I'm not going to sit here and say that the ceiling is raised on this group, but I think the floor definitely is up from where it was a year ago. Just a lot more bodies up front to throw at the situation, and I think that for the positive perspective, I think that was a good sign.
Ben Standig, Last Man Standig, is both the podcast and the Substack. That's where you read and listen to his work with us here on the Hoffman Show for Not My Beat Today. I mean, imagine Ben saying, oh, yeah, the dominant force on the field was the Commanders' defensive line a couple of months ago. How have you seen that group gel, generally speaking, over the last month or so of training camp here?
Yeah, I think they're trying guys out at different spots. You've seen Frankie Louvu play with his hands in the dirt. You've seen Dorrance Armstrong standing up, different combinations along the line. Again, I don't know that we can sit here and say they have like one truly, dominant player up there. But Frankie Louvu obviously was, his relentless energy was huge last year. He got an all-pro selection. Deron Payne, the talent's there. We'll just have to see if he's able to, get back to that 2022 form where he's getting, 11 and a half sacks. Bobby Wagner, you mentioned, the instincts, the intelligence that he brings to help sort of keep the whole group together. Now you add Von Miller, they have, of course, Javon Kinlaw, blanking here, Johnny Newton. Sorry, yeah. Johnny. Sorry, I can't think. Johnny Newton has looked, good. You saw in the preseason game him being a disruptive presence. So again, I think all of these pieces together just gives them more options depending on what is needed at any given moment. I think the run defense I thought today looked better as well. There's no tackling, so it's all kind of relative. But that's obviously the huge question mark following last year. That we've all talked about the fact that they've gotten bigger up front, and that's a big help. So I think all these things give me more hope for this group. Again, I'm not saying they're going to be a top 10 defense, but they can just even get sort of middle of the package. If the offense is able to, be a top 10 offense again, that's a good combination that they just simply didn't have last year.
So the other big story today is that Terry McLaurin was there, and he talked face-to-face with Adam Peters on the sideline. I'm guessing nobody spilled to you exactly what was said, Ben, but, what do we know about that conversation? One, if we were able to ascertain anything that was said or discussed, and two, is that the first time that those two men have talked, do we think? Do we think Terry and Adam have avoided each other as Terry's been around? Or is this just the first time that we think they've probably talked face-to-face in the view of other people?
Yeah, I think it's the first time they've probably talked in public where we are seeing things. So I haven't seen them together since Terry started the hold-in. I'm sure they've run into each other in the building plenty. I'm sure they've talked, but, they were talking here. Now, what do they talk about? I don't know. We'd like to think that they were having a reasonable conversation about the value of wide receivers and where Terry fits, and hopefully, get the two sides closer together. They also could have just been discussing, if they each saw Breaking Bad and what they make of, Walter White's turn. Who knows what they were discussing, but I think my big takeaway is that they looked like two guys having a conversation. I didn't sense any animosity looking at it briefly, and this has been my thing this whole time with Terry, just being around him when he spoke for 30 minutes at that Eastern Motors commercial a few weeks ago, when he's returned for this hold-in. I don't get any sense that he's angry or bitter or any of that. He clearly wants to get paid what he thinks he's earned, but that's different than saying, I can't stand these guys. I know he put in a trade request. That felt to me sort of negotiating playbook kind of, rather than I really desperately want to get out of here. He says, he said, hey, I'm building my home here. So it's not like he really wants to leave. So that's sort of what I took it as, is whatever's going on here. And I don't get the sense prior to today, at least, that there's been much movement on these talks, but at least in this case, again, it looks like there's people having a reasonable conversation. And considering we've had very little news to go on, that's something of a positive, but it doesn't mean that any deal is coming anytime soon.
Yeah. Dan was asked about Terry today, and the question was phrased, I believe, Ben, the way I interpreted it listening to the exchange, more about his ankle injury and the progress there and the way Dan answered it than anything contractual. But I think we all think that Terry's ankle hurts somewhere in the area of his wallet, that this is only so much of a real ankle injury. But it is a relevant factor in that if he's injured, he can very easily refuse to play. And if this obviously lingers into the regular season, you can't get fined if you're hurt for missing games. But ultimately, their doctors, I believe, the way this works, would be the ones to clear him and take him off of PUP. And then they can obviously fine him for missing games if he is still refusing to play at that point. So was there any significance to the Dan Quinn answer that, hey, we'll see after this day off and leading into the Bengals game where he is from an injury standpoint?
I don't think so. I mean, like you said, I've been pretty skeptical about the nature of this apparent injury that has been, I guess, lingering since the season ended, which was a long time ago. So I don't know about what to make of that. And Dan Quinn didn't really offer up too much. He's hesitant, understandably. He's not going to get into the actual negotiations because that's Adam Peters' deal, and he doesn't want to say anything that McLaurin's side could potentially use as a positive in whatever talks they're having. I think what's getting to be interesting, though, is at what point does it become a risk to play him in week one, even if they get a deal done? They play 17 games over 18 weeks. This is a marathon, not a sprint. So as much as we're talking about week one, well, you don't want him to go out there and then pull a muscle or a hamstring or something, and now all of a sudden it's a lingering issue that goes on for weeks, if not the season. So when is that timeline? They still have plenty of time before the season starts. He's not going to play here against the Bengals, we wouldn't think, right? So that would leave only one more preseason game, and typically the starters you wouldn't think would play in that one. Is he back for the joint practice against the Ravens? Maybe, but that's still only one practice. And at what point here does it become an issue potentially for week one? I think to me that's kind of like the timeline I'm looking at, along with is he going to get a deal done? But I don't know when he's coming back, and I don't know the deal with his ankle. But yeah, to me, I start to wonder, how much more time can pass before week one starts to come into question.
Ben Standig with us here on the Hoffman Show. And after the lackluster, to say the least, performance by the Commanders against the Patriots, and again, there's a bunch of reasons why that happened. The Patriots game plan some stuff, which teams never do in the preseason. It's yeah, okay, if you decided to play a different sport, a lot easier to run up the scoreboard that way. Good job, Mike Vrabel. Congrats on that. But after that, there is the talk of well, the Commanders could have at least played their starters more, and I feel like it is coming back around in vogue a little bit to play your starters more. What have the conversations been around around Ashburn this week on the heels of that, when none of the starters played basically for the Commanders on Friday?
Yeah, it's always a tricky deal. The players want to play. I think that's pretty clear. This is, they're not saying, I don't want to, don't put me out there so I risk injury. They want to go. This is what they do. They understand the risks involved. It is typically more of management. Hey, we don't want to, we're paying all this money for these guys. We want the product on the field when it matters, not for these other games. But as veteran players will always say, the only way to practice at playing football is to play football. So at some point they have got to do this. Now, I imagine the starters will play a little bit against the Bengals, but by a little bit, I mean 2 series. I'm talking more on the Jaden Daniels side of it, and that's, 2 series might be 1 series too many, especially if they score right off the bat. You do need to get out there. I was talking to Bobby Wagner, or a couple of us were talking to Wagner after practice today, and he was saying how, last year, that first game against Tampa, right? So against Tampa? Yeah. The first game against Tampa, that, they were kind of, still sorting things out with each other because, they hadn't, done a ton of, live work. I think that's one of the things they liked about today, give them a little bit of live work, even if there wasn't, tackling. And that was off. And I asked him, was when you entered the league, over a dozen years ago, was that the way it kind of was? He was like, no, because, we can still, take people to the ground in practice. So this is just the change in the NFL that teams are, basically using weeks 1 and 2 to quasi preseason games, but the games count. So that's the tough part, and they've got to find ways to get moving right off the bat. Every team has the same issues. It's just every team handles it slightly differently than the other ones. I don't know if there's any true best answer, best path.
Best practice, yeah.
Yeah, but it does seem like the more you do it, the better off you'll be.
For sure. I would also question how much of Quinn's decision-making goes into what he's going to see on the other side. Like, we know, because the Bengals have announced this, because, like, how much they play their starters has been a huge story in Cincinnati, as I'm sure you well know, with the slow starts the Bengals have had the last couple of years. And so this year, Jamar Chase was very vocal in training camp and was like, yeah, we're going to play. And Zach Taylor, I think that had already been decided. He's like, yeah, our starters are going to play a little bit more because we can't afford to start as slowly as we have. And so knowing that you're going to see the Bengals ones, to me, that would entice me to play my starters more. I was stunned. And maybe that's my fault for not paying attention to media out of New England last week. I couldn't believe Vrabel was playing his starters when it's week 1 and they just had a joint practice. It's like, wait, you just practiced against these guys the other day. I thought the reason you do the joint practice is so that you don't have to play in the game where your quarterback isn't wearing a special jersey. So how much do you think that Quinn is going to look at what Zach Taylor is doing and then maybe have a conversation with Harbaugh when they do the joint and then a game against Baltimore about kind of being on the same page so that everybody understands if we play our guys, this is what they're getting into. If we don't play our guys, this is what we're missing out on.
Yeah, I don't know how much what the other team does is going to matter. I mean, look, last year, as we recall, Jaden Daniels played in the first preseason game against the Jets. That was the game where he had the famous audible out of a short play into a 41-yard bomb to De'Ami Brown, and to me that was the play that signals, oh wow, this kid really does understand it and has the goods. But they played him that game, right? They didn't, they played, and he was not there by himself. Other starters were too. So it depends on the circumstances. Mike Vrabel's coming into a new job. Maybe he wants to jumpstart that team that's been miserable. And Dan Quinn's like, hey, we were pretty good last year. Let's just get to the season healthy and go from there.
I think that totally is valid and makes sense. And, last year in that game, that first game, I think like Terry was like the one guy who didn't play because he kind of earned it. And then now it's like, yeah, we actually got a bunch of guys we're pretty confident in. So very, very different deal. Anything else you're looking for, Ben? Last question here as we head into, they have the off day tomorrow and then a couple practices on the way into Cincinnati. Anything else that you're really looking forward to or that you're looking forward to hearing on Quinn from over this next 72 hours, let's call it?
Is there any progress in some of these injuries? Brandon Coleman out there today. He's covering a brace or anything. Not practicing. Is he going to be back anytime soon? So those things are kind of the bigger deal. And look, the Bengals, I want to see Jamar Chase and Higgins against Lattimore and Amos. I think that's going to be a lot of fun.
That is going to be a lot of fun. Ben Standig, Last Man Standig, is the Substack and the podcast. Check him out there. Ben, appreciate your time as always, sir. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Ben Standig with us here on the Hoffman Show. To me, just to kind of reiterate a point I made the other day, Anthony, when thinking about the Commanders' preseason starters discussion, I'm perfectly fine with what they did week 1 because of 2 things. 1, the joint practice. 2, their injury situation. And it's not so much, oh, they've got some injuries, let's make sure we don't get more, although that is a factor. It's also, these guys hopefully aren't going to play together that much in the regular season anyway. Like, what are we actually practicing? Half-baked football? No. Like, our guys are not available, so let's make sure that we, like, if we're going to try to play our guys to build some chemistry, we have to have the guys out there. And with no Terry, Tunsil, well, I guess you probably would not play Tunsil anyway. Some of the other guys that were banged up on the O-line, Coleman, same thing on defense. You had some guys that were probably not going to play no matter what. At that point, what's the payoff? And if the risk side of risk reward is elevated and the reward side is mitigated, you don't take the risk. Like, that's kind of how that equation works.
No, I think that makes perfect sense.
So we'll see, especially if we can get some of these injured guys back. If you're the Commanders, you're like, okay, now we can play some of our guys. But if they're banged up again, nobody plays their guys in the third preseason game. I don't necessarily think that's the right move, if I'm being honest. Because they have the bye week now between week 3 of the preseason and the regular season, I realize you have less time if a guy gets hurt with a 2-week injury, right? So there's a risk of moving later, but I kind of want that. I don't want the ramp up to end too early. So they could theoretically play some guys against Baltimore, although they do have the joint practice against Baltimore that will probably take up most of their attention. All right, when we get back, this was a huge story that broke last night, and if it goes to its full ending, it's the kind of thing that could cause real problems at the NFL league office for Roger Goodell. Why a lawsuit in Nevada filed by John Gruden has the NFL very scared, and why it all ties back to Daniel M. Snyder. Don Vanada joins us next.
The Hoffman Show is back on the Team 980. We are, of course, streaming on the Odyssey app, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn as well. And if you're watching us on YouTube at the Team 980, you see our old friend Don Vanada Jr., the chief investigative reporter at ESPN. Another story for you, Don. This one feels like a pretty big one that you dropped last night, that John Gruden has won his hearing in the Nevada Supreme Court that will open up the path to discovery, an investigative reporter's favorite word, discovery, in his case against the NFL. This all stems back to his emails that got him fired as head coach of the Lakers. There is a DC tie here, as many of those emails went to Bruce Allen, of all people. A lot of this happening while he was a commentator for ESPN doing Monday Night Football, discovered years later, and everyone remembers what happened then. So with that, Don, welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the saga, the drama of the NFL. It never stops.
Thank you, Craig. Great to be with you. Good to see you today.
Good to have you. So tell us kind of what happened here. Like on a baseline level, what happened yesterday? What was being argued? What was decided? And then we can get into the multiple paths that appear before us to go forward.
Yeah, this was a resounding victory for John Gruden by the Nevada Supreme Court. The Nevada Supreme Court had a 3-judge panel back within the last year that actually ruled for the league, that said that the lawsuit that was filed by Gruden against Roger Goodell and the National Football League leaked these emails that cost him his job as head coach of the Raiders back in 2021, initially by a 2-to-1 vote, ruled for the NFL and said that that lawsuit could be decided behind closed doors by an arbitrator. We know in the past that that's pretty much a kangaroo court for the National Football League, but then asked for all 7 justices of the Nevada Supreme Court to hear the case. The decision yesterday by a 5-2 vote. So the 4 new justices that heard this new case all sided with Gruden and decided that, in fact, this will go to open court. There'll be no arbitration. And basically the justices said that because Gruden, all these emails were sent to Bruce Allen and to 2011 while Gruden was working for ESPN as a commentator on Monday Night Football, he wasn't working for the National Football League. So there's no way that Roger Goodell should be allowed to put this dispute in front of arbitration. And that's what the justices in Nevada decided. Again, a resounding victory for John Gruden. It opens up the floodgates for information, including those 650,000 emails that were part of the Beth Wilkinson investigation. Everybody in DC knows that. I'm Dan Snyder. All of that information now is fair game under discovery. And so it is a very, very big win. It's very rare when a dispute like this, Craig, in the National Football League isn't decided behind closed doors in arbitration and goes to open court. There's not many times in the history of the NFL this has even happened. So this is a historic victory for John Gruden and for openness and for discovery that we'll see here in the coming months.
Yeah, it is. I mean, it seems fairly straightforward, right? That you can't go like yes, if you have a dispute with your employer in a contract, you often waive the right to sue them and say this will be resolved in arbitration, but he didn't work for them, nor any of their subsidiaries at the time. We get into the complications of the NFL and the ESPN agreement that was just signed. Maybe Roger Goodell would have something to say about that a different day. But clearly in 2011, not the case. And so this goes there. So what, just to clarify, Don, this does not say that the NFL is guilty here. This did not say like, hey, you guys did leak the email. It is just now the path is clear to find out what other obstacles may remain before that actually happens. Like what happens next?
That's right. What happens next now, really the ball is in the league's court. Reported, just about not lunchtime today, a league spokesman told me that the league intends to seek a rehearing before the court. They're going to petition for all 7 justices to hear the case again. That's likely to fail since it was such a resounding victory for Gruden. And then the final option that the league has is to appeal before the United States Supreme Court. I expect that will happen. So that will delay things, quite a bit, delay it for a matter of months. But if the Supreme Court decides not to hear the case, or they decide to hear the case and they rule for Gruden, then we'll be back to where we started, and that is this petition, this lawsuit filed by Gruden against Goodell and the National Football League, that they purposefully leaked these emails against Gruden with the intention of really knocking him out of his job while he was coach of the Raiders back in the fall of 2021. Remember, it was in mid-season when this happened. These leaks were to the Wall Street Journal and to the New York Times over a course of just 3 days. And Gruden believes, and his lawyers believe, that Goodell was behind it. That will then go to open court. There'll be discovery. And, we'll be able to sit in open court and hear this discussion, unless, of course, there's a settlement. And I'm sure that's an area you want to discuss.
Yes, Don Vanada is with us, ESPN investigative reporter, talking about the John Gruden NFL story that came down yesterday. The Nevada Supreme Court ruling in favor of Gruden that his case can continue and go into open court, that is not going to be settled by discovery. So if I'm the NFL, the last thing I want is discovery, especially knowing some of the other far-reaching implications here, all the things that you have reported on that we've had you on the show for. All of a sudden, we can learn a lot more about that. Like, the Gruden thing itself is a massive story, not to mitigate that. But for our audience, Don, this could also open up some of the communications about the minority ownership situation in Washington and how that was decided in the favor of Dan Snyder and many other Dan Snyder things. And while I think a lot of the audience is like, I don't care anymore, I want to move on, like Jaden Daniels is awesome, Josh Harris is awesome, there is obviously, I do think, hey audience, come back. There's a chance to dump on Dan Snyder again. So I guess the question I have on the Washington piece of that is why. We can get to that in a second. But what are the chances that Gruden and the NFL settle and that door gets shut before we can even get to the possibility?
Well, we can only take John Gruden at his word. You may remember, Craig, 2 years ago, Seth Wickersham, my colleague at ESPN, and I did a deep dive story into the whole backstory of these leaks and what exactly happened. And we found evidence that Dan Snyder and his law firm was potentially involved in some of the leaking to try to curry favor with Roger Goodell, that Goodell, there was suspicions, had leaked some of these and had motives to do so because Gruden was so critical of Goodell in some of the emails that actually were leaked and that led to Gruden losing his job, resigning under pressure with Mark Davis, the owner of the Raiders. Desiree Perez, who is somebody who works at Rock Nation, the Jay-Z firm. Desiree Perez was somebody who was on the Commanders board, very close to Snyder and also working for the league. We raised some questions about her. And in our story, I should be clear to your audience, everybody denied leaking. The Snyder people, Goodell, Rock Nation, everyone denied leaking. Obviously, somebody did. We believe from our reporting that multiple people had incentive to leak those emails. And so, that's basically what Gruden is trying to find out. Now, to your question about a settlement, I can only take Gruden at his word. In that story 2 years ago, he told associates that we quoted that he has no interest in settling, not for any number. That he's quite vivid in his language and says that he wants to burn the league down. He is so angry at Roger Goodell for costing him his coaching career in his mind that no number would be high enough for him to settle. Now, as we know, everybody has a price. I think reasonably, if the number is 40, 50, $60 million, who knows, $100 million, that might be too much money for Gruden to leave on the table. But I do believe there will be, if in fact the Supreme Court doesn't take this case and it moves quickly toward discovery, I'll be stunned if there's not some serious negotiations going on about a number, and it could get high enough that tempts even Gruden. Although he has said, and his lawyers have said, they are in no mood to settle and they want to take this case into discovery and into open court to get the truth.
Yeah, it's probably worth mentioning, too, for those that are not as online. Like, Gruden has reemerged, which that's, again, a different discussion about, like, whether he should, considering what was in those emails. Like, John Gruden is no hero here based off of the content there, but he has come back into public life. Barstool Sports has been a big part of that. They have kind of given him a platform, and, like, the man is excellent at talking about football. Like, what he does, he is very good at. He's also been around in some training camps, and so I also would wonder if that went to court, if the league would argue, if they lost even, like, the damages, like, we didn't ruin his career. Look, he still has a career, which if Gruden is after money might be better to settle anyway. So, like, that gets into a lot of the legalese. Can we circle back though to the Washington part of this? Like, why, you touched on it briefly, but can we expound on why the Commanders' investigations, the Wilkinson report, all of that is a part of this and what we could learn about Goodell, Snyder, their relationship from this ruling?
Yeah, it's a great question. We only know about these emails that John Gruden sent, and he uses racist language. It's completely offensive language that he used in these emails that he sent to Bruce Allen back in 2011 about DeMaurice Smith, the then executive director of the National Football League Players Association, about Roger Goodell and other people, only because these were part of 650,000 emails that were scooped up in the Beth Wilkinson investigation of Dan Snyder. Now, that investigation was done on behalf of the league, and the only emails of all of those 650,000 that were leaked to the media were written by John Gruden. And so Gruden's point is, well, that's completely unfair. And who leaked them and with what motive? And if there is discovery, Craig, to your excellent question, there are all sorts of secrets, we believe, in the media buried in those emails. These are emails that Bruce Allen sent to league officials, including Jeff Pash, the general counsel of the NFL, to Roger Goodell, to other owners. There could be all sorts of secrets about league business buried in there. There's probably emails. Now, I know Dan Snyder didn't send emails. I mean, I know that. He was sort of allergic to that. So I don't know if we would see any Snyder emails, but we could see a lot of emails that Bruce Allen sent about Snyder business and about, as you pointed out, the minority partners who, as we've reported, were clashing viciously with Dan Snyder over all sorts of issues, including the way Snyder was spending money that the partners felt was inappropriate. So this is really a treasure trove of NFL secrets that now the Nevada Supreme Court pretty resoundingly has opened the floodgates on, and we'll find out, I think, a lot of the backstory of what Dan Snyder was doing, because most of these are Bruce Allen and Commanders emails to people all over the league.
Don Vanada, ESPN, with us. So, Don, I don't want to take for granted the process here that you would go through as a journalist. And, it would make sense that, the opposing counsel, the two sides, they need to have equal access to evidence. Why do you, as a reporter, all of a sudden, why is this a treasure trove that you have access to?
Well, as soon as the discovery process begins, and presumably what will be discovered will not be under seal. Now, some of it might be under seal, and one side, presumably the NFL, might petition the court to put some things under seal. Now, this is a Nevada state court at the district court level that if this discovery begins, so there'll be a judge there making these decisions. But anything that's public is fair game for us. It's out in the open to look at. A lot of journalism, that we do, that investigative reporters do, we get our hands on, documents and things that are produced in court cases. And most, as I said earlier, of the NFL's cases over the years are decided by arbitrators behind closed doors. They're sealed documents that we don't get. Now, we've gotten the benefit of having even sealed documents in some arbitration things that have been leaked to us, including the dispute between Dan Snyder and his minority partners. I got my hands on some secret documents there a couple of years ago, but it's very, very hard to get. It's much better for journalists and for the public for a case like this to be heard in open court with open discovery, with documents that will be on a docket that we'll be able to review and report on.
Don Vanada, ESPN. You can read the full story at ESPN.com, and I'm sure there will be more follow-ups in the days to come. That tends to be after you bust a big one, Don, or something big happens in a story you've been following. There tends to be a trickle out, as we saw last week. I joked with Kalen. Kalen Kaler has been on with us on the NFLPA side because I was in and out a ton of July, and it felt like every time I was on the show in July, so was Kalen. So that is how that went. So we'll see what else drops. Keep your eyes peeled on ESPN.com for more from Don on this particular story. DVN, thank you, sir. Appreciate you always.
Thanks, Craig. Great to be with you.
It's the Hoffman Show. I think I know how to turn on my microphone by now. Jesus. On the Team 980, always live as well on the Odyssey app. Also, iHeartRadio and TuneIn. Miss any part of the show, check it out. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Again, pop this reminder in the show a couple of times today, but you definitely do not want to miss the start of the show tomorrow. I would say 5 o'clock tomorrow is also going to be very entertaining. Anthony, that does mean I just confirmed the guest for tomorrow, and he is very excited.
Uh-oh.
You know who it is, right?
I think.
I'm going to cover my mouth so no one can read my lips.
Yeah.
Yeah. The text I just got has me a little terrified.
Oh, man. What did he say?
I'll tell you in the break.
Okay.
Tell you in the break. So tomorrow, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock. Don't miss the show tomorrow. The whole darn thing. As for right now, Anthony, it's time for our weekend in review. Brought to you by...
Craig, after 3 years and 2 months.
We got one.
Really?
No.
I was about to say, you got me. I was about to say, hold on, this is news to me.
Nobody
knows.
All right, we take a look at what else happened this weekend. Beyond the Commanders, we have spent most of Monday and most of Tuesday discussing. Big weekend for the old Sticks, Anthony. Nice win the other day against Dallas. Not a good first half. Sonia Citron went bananas in the second half. Also had nice contributions from Alicia Clark and JC Sheldon, the new additions. And, of course, the highlight was Kiki Iriafin's 23 points. And right now, things I would say are going quite well for the Mystics on multiple fronts. Again, there are two good options at the end of the season. Either they make the playoffs, yay, winning, or they miss out on the playoffs and they're in the lottery, and that is better for the draft position this year because of the two expansion teams coming in. So if you make the playoffs, you are probably pick 8, depending on how you do. If you miss the playoffs, you are pick 5, or better, if you win the lottery, the W has a lottery for their top 2 spots. However, they made that trade a couple of weeks ago, or last week, God, time is a flat circle, with Seattle, and Seattle has lost 5 straight games, Anthony. So they are currently behind Golden State in the standings, and there is a chance that the Mystics, if they were to miss the playoffs and Seattle would miss the playoffs, that they would actually have 2 lottery picks because Seattle is currently behind Golden State by half a game. They are a half game ahead of the LA Sparks. Those 2 teams, I believe, play at some point this week. The Sparks have won 8 of 10. So either the Mystics are going to make, there's almost no scenario right now. I mean, I guess Golden State and LA could fall and Washington and Seattle could rise. But there is almost no situation right now where the Mystics don't wind up with a lottery pick. That would be cool.
Man, it's getting juicy, man. And I'm happy to see the Sparks doing what they're doing because, again, I think their record definitely doesn't indicate just how good that team is. Like, they got off to a super slow start, and they've been rolling since. Like, even going into the WNBA break where they beat the brakes out of us. And then also –
I was at that game in Los Angeles. By the way, Sparks in town this weekend. The next game for the Mystics is tomorrow night against the Valkyries. So these teams all playing each other. The Sparks are here. A week later, Seattle's here for a head-to-head matchup. So a lot of these teams that are fighting for those final few playoff spots are actually going head-to-head over the next couple of weeks. So it's going to be a fun final 4 weeks or so of the WNBA season. Other than that, still Lynx playing really well without Nafisa Collier. The MVP race is tightening because Alyssa Thomas has continued to be outstanding. Sabrina Ionescu might have something to say about the MVP race, the way she's playing with the Liberty holding on to that 2 seed. So a lot of stuff happening around the W. Major League Baseball this weekend, the old Nationals. At least it wasn't as embarrassing all the time, Anthony, I guess is what the positive is on that front. They actually won 2 of 3 on the weekend against the Giants, so that's good. 4-2, 8-0, and then got back to not winning baseball games last night, a 7-4 loss. But I just think, like, when you were on the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 game losing streak, and you've lost, let's see, that's 8, 9, 10. You lost 9 of 10. You need mentally to pull out of that, and I'm glad the Nationals at least got out of the thickest of the deepest, darkest depths of their losing. But it has obviously been there hasn't been a lot of change in the results since the Davey Martinez firing. There's definitely going to be a long look by a lot of different people in the organization this offseason. But we're reviewing what happened this weekend, and that's what happened with the Nationals this weekend.
Yeah, that cupboard is bare over there, man. We got some talent, but, it ain't enough.
It is.
We got some work to do, man.
Most certainly not enough. Speaking of not enough, this was a frustrating game for the Washington Spirit over the weekend. NWSL action. It was their rivalry weekend across the league, and in New York, or I should say in New Jersey, where Gotham plays, the Spirit went up a player about 30 minutes into the game, Anthony. That is something that is typically – we got an hour to score more than 1 goal. Then the other team didn't score any. Gotham did a great job, 0-0 draw. And I just think that is a fascinating thing as a sport. So Trinity Rodman, one of the best players on the planet, is running around out there. Croy Bethune, one of the best players on the planet, running around out there. You got 11 players on a championship team against another team that is also really good, championship caliber, but they only have 10. And this sport says, hey, 11 versus 10, you guys can survive for basically a full game. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's insane. I mean, was Gotham just very defensive? Did they have everybody back? or could we just not score like at all?
They missed a couple opportunities, and I do think that we dominated possession. Spirit dominated possession and just like couldn't break through, and that's something you can kind of do, right? Like defensively, if you typically have an attacker who's not super involved in your defense, so you kind of have a 10-player defense anyway, or a 9-player, you can always just pull an extra player back. It's going to take some bite out of your attack going forward, but if you're down a player, you're probably playing like, can we draw? Can we not give up a goal? And if we can catch them on a counterattack and get in like a one-on-one situation, which they almost did at the end, Aubrey Kingsbury, a great save at the end. But yeah, that's it's not the most exciting electric soccer that the girls have played.
Yeah, not at all.
Not at all. All right, when we get back, it's Pick 6 at 6 time. Dan Quinn talking about a whole lot before today's scrimmage, some things that we picked up from after. We will discuss next on the Team 980. This here is the Hoffman Show. Final hour here on a Tuesday on the Team 980, streaming live on the Odyssey app, iHeartRadio, and TuneIn Radio. We are, of course, also operating on the interwebs. Hello, you can watch us at the Team 980 on YouTube. Right now, 6 o'clock, Dan Quinn spoke today, so it is time for a Pick 6 at 6.
The 6 biggest Commander storylines.
It is caught!
Delivered at 6 o'clock sharp. It's the Pick 6 at 6.
We set out to find a leader, someone who could take this franchise to the next level and build an elite team that consistently competes for championships.
Alrighty, Pick 6, where we play you the most important things from today. And if you are unaware, the Commanders held a special practice today. It was a scrimmage. They divided up the teams, Burgundy and Gold scrimmage style. Dan Quinn wanting to get a little more competitive juices flowing, a little more game situations. They did 2 halves, if you will. They called one like a second quarter situation, which affected the timing rules and all that, fourth quarter as well, which he explained today. And
Number 1.
Here's Dan Quinn on how he wanted this to go down.
Welcome to the Burgundy and Gold scrimmage. Give you some background and stuff on that. So we'll try to work in about 2 quarters. We'll play a second quarter, see if we can work some situations. Then we'll work into a fourth quarter, try to work in some situations there. Have officials try to just move the ball, throw fouls down. Obviously, that was something, in the last game wasn't pleased with, and certainly want that as often as we can. Cliff and Joe are the head coaches, and we also split coaches and staff members, and so they'll all be on opposite sides, so a lot of fun with that.
If you want some fun with how to split players, Anthony and I did a draft starting a little bit into the 4:30 segment, so you can check out that in hour 1 of our podcast today. It was a fun exercise to split up the players. The way they did that for real was they basically kept the first team offense and the first team defense together. So you had first team offense and second team defense were, I think, Team Burgundy with Jaden Daniels at the helm, which that side actually did not score and got their butts kicked by Team Gold, which had the first team defense and the second team offense at the helm. As for how they divided up the coaches,
Number 2.
That is a question that I think is pretty interesting to hear Dan Quinn answer. And oh, looky, he was asked it today.
We did a lot to split them to, find some balance back and forth. And Adam and his staff also were a big part of this last 2 days as well of are there any late trades and going through processes. So we've really dug in to find ways to level people up, from the coaching and support and personnel for all of our jobs. None of us were ready for that one. And you just go and you figure it out and you get there. And this is a byproduct of that. And it's a lot of fun to go through that. But as far as the personnel-wise, we kind of did that for them. And then they did the staff and how they would split up people. So it's been a lot of fun.
I love it because I do think that is a really great thing that you can do. If you're in any organization, right, you are invested in the people within your organization. But often we all get caught up in the day-to-day work of just trying to do our job. And maybe, Anthony, we're a little exempt from this because you don't have an associate producer sitting over there learning from you.
I don't
have an associate host, but if we did, it would be great if, let's say, if we had a co-host and someone who wanted to do their own show in the future and I was out on vacation, they could step in and be like, all right, I'm going to try to do a solo show today. Or this is what happens when I'm in the lead chair. Occasionally, Anthony, if you were out on vacation, we could let that other person run the board or whatever if we had someone that was with us every day. So our little show is maybe a bad example. But if you're Cliff Kingsbury, you've been a head coach before, but getting some reps to act as a head coach, or Joe Witt, obviously, who hasn't been a head coach, but definitely could be one day. It not only helps you get some practice of being in that mind frame and what it would be like. You can think about, if I'm ever in that position, I would want to make sure I do this. Or, hey, let me ask Dan how to handle this situation. I think it's also good for the right now. Having I will now go back to actually a good example of, I think, our show here. I was a producer back in the day. I know what it's like to sit over there. That helps me, hopefully, be easier to deal with than if I was over here being like, I don't get what you do over there. Cut the sound, I don't know why I just turned into like a raging Southern maniac, but you get the point. Like, having empathy is important as like a human skill to be able to imagine what it's like in someone else's shoes. It is different than experience of having been there. And so if I'm an offensive coordinator and I'm thinking about my play calling through a more global lens, if you will, I think that's going to make me a better play caller. I know what it's like to have to balance what I'm doing with the defense and that side of the ball. Same thing defensively. Like, what do I need to support my offense as well as to succeed on my side of the ball? So by leveling up for a day or for a couple days to prepare, it gives really great perspective to all of these coaches. And it makes all the coaches above look at the coaches below in a different light, think about their strengths, think about their weaknesses, maybe expose some things that you can work with them on in the season. And I just think it's I actually think it's a really, really, really important part of what they did today. Continuing on with our pick 6, some bigger thoughts. We'll get to some of the offensive players, including an update on Terry McLaurin in the back half of our pick 6 in just a moment. But first,
number 3.
Everybody loves to talk about the rookies. And I thought Quinn had an interesting answer when asked about kind of the rookie class in general this year. It's obviously a smaller draft class, and that has led to an interesting spring and summer for the first-year players.
I thought they put a lot of work in them and the assistants during the off-season, leading up to camp, knowing that, man, we have to get this knowledge down so when you do get to camp, there's not the thinking and you can just rely on the system and get better at your skills. So it's a very mature group, guys that really put it in. We've been encouraged by that. It's a smaller group, so they've probably got more individualized attention and customized for them with 15 rookies. Usually it's, anywhere probably between that number and, 25 or so. So with a smaller group, I think they've had good mentors. They've had, good coaching, and now they're gaining confidence. There's definitely days that go good and others that don't, but that's also part of it. And I want to see, the resilience to come back from the days that aren't. But what I've seen so far is guys that know what they're doing, they're prepared, they're ready to go put their best foot forward. And that's why these practices where coaches are off to the side, man, like they have to demonstrate what they know, how they can communicate, and knowing that, like, when it's your turn to lead, like, do it. That's your communication, that's your call, so don't wait. You got to go take it.
I think the more individualized coaching thing is like pretty interesting, and I'm curious to watch moving forward over the years to come how that is going to potentially impact this class in a positive way. Like, does this turn into a really, really good group of rookies, and can we look back in 4 years and be like, well, part of the reason they're really good is like their rookie experience was involved in more mentorship and coaching than the average NFL rookies. And I don't know that that's going to be the case, but it's like put a pin in that, and we'll talk in a couple of years and see how that goes. But I think that the idea of 5, like typically, let's say like last year typically you have about 7 per class, right? Last year was a little bit bigger. They had like 9. And then they also had a couple of undrafted free agents. So you had a huge portion of your roster that was new and didn't know what they were doing on some varying level of stuff. Meanwhile, this year, you've got like 5 draft picks and like maybe 2 undrafted guys that are kind of sniffing around the roster. I mean, Ja'Cory Brooks, a wide receiver, I think is in the mix for wide receiver 6. Trying to think of my 53 projections. I don't know that there's another, the safety, like, what's his name? Robert McDaniel. Like, he's had a good camp. I don't think he's going to make the team. There's too much depth at that position otherwise. I don't think that there's another position, Anthony, where I think of a UDFA. So we're talking about, like, they have some decent guys that'll probably be around on the practice squad. But, like, when we're talking about really intense, like, hey, you're going to be out there with the 1s or you're going to be out there with the 2s and, like, you have a chance to play this year, it's like 6 guys. And that also means that what I say last year was 11. That's 5 extra guys who have experience on the roster. So think of how the dynamics change within the room with that much more experience on a 53-man / 70-man with practice squad team. Very different.
Yeah, definitely going to be different. But I also think that's sort of kind of what makes it hard for us when we are doing our, whether it's we're drafting or we're trying to narrow it down to the 53 and figure out which position groups, they might want to carry. So it makes it all difficult, I guess, a little bit more.
Those are fun thought exercises.
Yeah, for sure.
What actually develops on the field? That there, sir. That is what matters. All right, when we get back, an update on Terry McLaurin, what Dan Quinn wants to see in year 2 from Jaden Daniels, and more. But first, the latest from the world of women's sports, presented to you by Wawa. Chicken, how you want it. Wawa, with customizable roasted and crispy chicken sandwiches. Coming up at 6:30, we take a look at Mike Sando's quarterback tiers. The annual tradition return to The Athletic, where Sando now works. Used to do this for ESPN. Jaden Daniels, I will tell you, came in 6th. We will read some of the quotes from the executives and coaches and coordinators that he talked to as to why, and tell you the 5 quarterbacks. I think you can probably figure out 4 of them, but the 5 quarterbacks who finished ahead. Right now, we continue our pick 6 at 6, though, here on the Team 980. Biggest storylines of the day, and this one is we're gonna mash the number 4 button, but we all know this is probably really number 1.
Number 4,
and that's number 17. Dan Quinn was asked for the latest on Terry McLaurin, although he was asked for the latest on McLaurin's ankle, not his contract, because that is a relevant plot point here as he is on the PUP list. And we all do want to understand, like, okay, if he signs a deal, how healthy is he?
Yeah, I don't have any big updates for you on that. As far as timelines go, the guys have an off day tomorrow, and then as we were working into the practices prior to the next game on Monday night, maybe I can give you some insights then, but no updates to share with you today.
Anthony, I have been covering Dan Quinn for, what are we? We had him on when he got hired, and I was at the Super Bowl. That was February of 24, right? It's August of 25, so that is 18 months.
Yep.
2 February to 8 August. That's 6 plus the year. That's 18 months. I think I've heard enough Dan Quinn sound bites by now to say that I feel like he knows something.
Uh-oh.
And whether that is something truer to the ankle / whatever this injury is, which I think a lot of us, again, to use this phrasing, think Terry's ankle hurt somewhere in the wallet region of the ankle. Yep, somewhere in the checkbook, somewhere in the bank account. That's like, we might have an update for you in a couple days. To me, listening to Quinn sounds different than his usual answer. Like, Dan is very on message. It's something I appreciate about him. Like, he is not going to mess up the company line. He also, I think, has a big input in the company line, and he knows where the landmines are. And I feel like and I'm not trying to like tin hat this. I'm just saying, like, Dan has consistently said, when asked about Terry, we're not going to skip steps. We're going to see that's it. The contract part is Adam, and on the injury side, we're not going to skip steps. The fact that he's like, I have no real update for you, but I might have an update, and I think he even said a significant update in a couple of days, to me makes me wonder if that was, like, if there's actually something that is brewing. I hope so. Maybe that is completely wishful thinking, but that was not his usual answer on a question he's been asked a version of 15 straight days.
Yeah. I don't even know what, because my brain is like spinning right now. I'm thinking like maybe it could be contractual. Maybe it could be Terry just, ending the hold in / I mean,
that's the thing. He could just come back to practice and be like, you know what? Yeah, you know what? You guys want me out here. I'm going to be out here. I hope we continue to work towards a deal. And maybe there's been a little bit of movement behind the scenes, and Adam is like, hey, man, go out there and practice, and I'll get you. You go practice. You end it first, and you soften the stance, and I will give you X. But you got to go practice. Maybe. I don't know. There's a lot of different possibilities. The one thing I can definitively say is that was not his usual answer.
Yeah.
And Dan Quinn doesn't do that stuff without thinking about it.
Yeah. And we just saw James Cook in his holding. So,
yeah.
I think there's definitely some legitimacy to him potentially just coming back to practice.
If generally speaking on Terry, here was DQ on his perspective with his star receiver out.
Look, you want everybody as the coach out on the field at every practice, every game. I also know that that's not reality either. And so I just try to make sure, man, like, just keep pouring into the guys, keep digging into it. But I know it is, part of our game where, you don't have everybody all the time. It does, in some ways, there's contingencies. How do you work? How do you feature guys? And so I was kind of referring to, like, Debo, maybe getting more connection time to go. But as far as, like, where I'm at, I also, like, I'm aware things happen, and you adjust, and that's kind of what coaching is, and you don't have your full roster all the time, and you put yourself into those spaces pretty regularly, and then when those come up, you feel more normal doing that. When everything's healthy, you have to force it. When the injuries and things come up during this time of year, it happens naturally. Okay, let's feature, let's see what happens, and I like doing that too.
We are getting to the point in the calendar where that is becoming, it's really good to have that stuff stacked. And I think it's really good to stack it now to, hey, we're going to bank these reps. By the way, it opens up some different ways to see this play. I'm just so used to throwing this route to Terry. The way Debo runs it, hadn't thought about that. Okay, maybe we go back to Terry and say, hey, Terry, you want to try Debo's way? Or, just whatever the combinations of the things that are good from variety. Eventually, you also need to get reps and be in sync with the guys that you're going to go to war with on Sundays, to use a very tired analogy. And we're getting to that point in the calendar, I think, now. Not to mention from a physical human performance, sports science-y, sports performance lens, you want to make sure Terry has a ramp-up period. There's a reason training camp is as long as it is. It lets guys get in shape. And I think Terry's obviously in great shape. He's the kind of guy that's going to make sure he's in great shape. But you want to get him out there in practice and let him do the stuff that is helping everyone else be ready for a long regular season.
Number 5.
As for the rest of the receivers, Dan Quinn asked about that today.
Yeah, that is it. And there's these opportunities that come up. And we were just kind of talking about, some of the rookies. And the 2 rookie receivers have done a nice job of knowing what to do, how to do it. They've played outside, a little bit inside, but mostly on the outside. And so I've been encouraged by what I've seen. I mean, let's face it, getting trained by Bobby and Andre, that's a pretty good setup, for guys coming in to show what they can do. So I'm encouraged. I want to see more. How we would feature people in different ways, that's part of coaching. I think the best can figure out ways to do that. But I'm excited. I want to see more.
Gonna have to see more. And the way the roster is right now, I think most people would say that outside of Deebo Samuel, Jalen Lane has been the best receiver in camp. Now, Noah Brown has not really practiced. Terry McLaurin hasn't practiced at all. But Michael Gallup has had some nice moments, but it's either him or Lane. Luke McCaffrey's floating around there somewhere. And then it's a bunch of guys that have had tremendous amounts of ups and downs. Guys like Michael Strawn, Moore, like Jacoby Jones, the UDFA. So there's a lot of potential in that room, but I don't know how much of it they feel confident is going to get realized, and especially this season, which again makes the McLaurin piece and frankly the Noah Brown piece really important. Also worth remembering, Noah Brown was not a Commander this time last year. He was still a Houston Texan, so they will certainly be looking on the open market when guys get cut here in a couple of weeks. Last but not least,
Number 6.
there's also the guy who's going to throw him the football, and I think there's a lot of hope that he can just erase everything else, and that might be the case. Again, we'll talk more about Jaden in our QB tiers next, or in Mike Sando's QB tiers, the ultimate QB tier list next. But what does Dan Quinn want to see from Jaden in terms of growth in year 2? He was asked that directly today. Here was his answer.
I've noticed a lot of things. He's really on it. I mean, we know this. We've talked about work ethic. We've talked about those. Now you see other levels of making others better. This is what I saw. This is the correct spot, a change of a protection. So now he's able to, help develop others and help them fulfill what they can be. And so that's a big deal. And that comes with communication, experience, feedback. You're not quite able to do that, your first, day on the job, but you gain street cred by your performance, by the things that you do, and then people trust him. And so, hey man, this is what I see, this is where the ball would go. And as a teammate, okay, you want to hear that information because that's giving you feedback. This is what I need to do to help you in this spot. So that's what I would see, just him compounding and making others better just by his communication, the way he's leading. So those would be some of the things that I've noticed so far.
If you want to dive into on a clinical level, what Dan is talking about, yeah, it's trust, but it's also psychological safety. When you trust someone, you feel comfortable getting feedback from them. When you feel comfortable and open to getting feedback, you can actually receive that feedback. And then, really good, you can apply it. And that's what Jaden Daniels has earned from a lot of people. If you're so worried about, like, I have to imagine there was some of this in some of the other rookie quarterbacks last year where it's like, or many other quarterbacks over the course of NFL history, rookie and vet, where it's like, oh, I don't know if we can tell him that because he might just crash out. Like, we're better off just hoping that he figures it out. And if we tell him that, then we know he's going to crash and burn. So, like, hands off. I think Jaden proved last year, like, he is not just tough physically, he's tough mentally, and he can take that feedback. He's willing, he wants to be coached. He's very open to receiving it from coaches, but also from teammates to get on the same page as guys like Zach Ertz. And I think it's why so many of the great connections he had last year were with guys like Terry and guys like Zach, who aren't afraid to have those conversations with the quarterback because they're afraid, oh, the quarterback's going to be mad at me. It's like, no, the quarterback needs me. He needs to know what I want so that I can get the ball. And I think those conversations happened on a high level. It's just really good stuff from Jaden, and I love that Dan explained that and pointed it out as to ways that he can continue to grow in year 2. When we get back, Jaden Daniels, Tier 1, Tier 2, how many quarterbacks above him in Mike Sando's annual quarterback tiers list? We will tell you, and a couple of other surprises next on The Hoffman Show. It's the Hoffman Show. Final half hour on a Tuesday. Make sure you don't miss the show tomorrow, 4 o'clock. You are not going to want to be late. Then again, Anthony, the way it typically goes, probably be around 4:02. Because Chris Russell will probably wrap around 3:58.
Make it good. But for this show, you might want to still get there early.
Yeah, the
line might be around the corner.
Yeah, you might. Yeah, you want to make sure that you don't miss the start of the show tomorrow. So, again, I can't say a lot more. I'll say a little bit more. Big announcement tomorrow at 4 o'clock. Can't.
Are we going to be able to use that breaking news?
It does. Anthony, that's a great question. That's a great question. We will use it. We will use it at some point in the show.
Also, what song should we come into the show with?
I have an idea. I don't want to say it on the air.
Okay.
I have an idea. Ask me again in the break.
Got you.
What if my maid... Never mind. I almost said too much. What if I said too much?
Let's pivot before you say too much.
Just tomorrow, you don't want to miss the show. The whole show. The Athletic did its quarterback tiers, which they do every single year. Mike Sando, in fact, has been doing this article since he was a writer for ESPN, so this is like 15 years, I think he's been doing this article. And it's like a big endeavor that he goes on every year. I can't imagine how fun it is, Anthony, to do these articles where you hey, we're asking 60 people, all of you anonymously. And you are anonymous, but if I'm the reporter, I know. So if I am asking a defensive coordinator his opinion of Patrick Mahomes and saying, I'm not going to ever tell anyone that it was you who said it, but I know, and then I see that guy get stomped by Mahomes in the regular season, that would be really funny to me. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, hey, look. Yeah, I don't know, man.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to be that guy. That's all I'm saying.
Well, yeah, you don't want to be facing Patrick Mahomes. Commanders will have him this year. So it is a 50 NFL coaches and executives who are a part of this process. There are 6 general managers, 6 assistant GMs, 6 former GMs, 5 other executives, 8 head coaches, 19 other coaches, and of those other 19, 15 are coordinators. They ranked every single veteran quarterback, so 34 vets that they chose to do, and these are guys that could be starters. So Marcus Mariota isn't ranked, for instance, but the Browns have a couple of different guys who are ranked because they have an open competition. The Colts, both of their guys, Jones and Richardson, are ranked. And you vote them into one of 5 tiers, tier 1 to tier 5. Spoiler alert on the back end here. We're not going to go through all 34. There was only one tier 5 quarterback, though, Anthony, and it was Kenny Pickett.
Pitiful.
So sorry for Kenny Pickett. There was a tie amongst the top this year, Anthony, and I think it's pretty fascinating that it's not Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson, the 2 guys that probably should have won, or that did, sorry, not probably should have, that were 1 and 2 in the MVP the last couple of years. I think Josh should have won it. I think the order should have been reversed. I think Josh should have won it 2 years ago, Lamar last year. Either way, they each wind up with 1. And those guys are 3 and 4, Allen 3rd, Jackson 4th, behind Mahomes and Burrow. I think this comes down to, Anthony, and we'll get to Jaden Daniels and where he fits in a second, but I think it comes down to the fact that Burrow's been to a Super Bowl and Mahomes has all those trophies. And I think while sometimes we yell at the media for reducing things to rings, there is something to championship experience and to proving that you've done it, and people in organizations value that. And so while I think it's really easy to look at what Joe did last year and be like, that dude was insane. The stuff around him, offensive line and defense, no support, even if he's got the best 2 receivers in the league, or the best receiving duo in the league in Chase and Higgins. And Pat is Pat. Realistically, Allen has been better for a couple of years than probably both of those guys week in, week out. Jackson definitely has week in, week out. with Burrow being hurt a couple of years ago and Pat kind of being a little more inconsistent. And there's a quote in here from an executive who's like, he wins when he has to. So, and the exec was basically like, first through third quarters, those other guys better snap in, snap out. Mahomes always makes it happen in the fourth. And there's something to that. And for that reason, like, is it what I think is probably correct based off skill? No. Would I, even with what happened in the Super Bowl, want to bet against Patrick Mahomes being the best quarterback in football? No. No, I would not. He's still a boogeyman to me.
Yeah, I feel like when you look at the Joe Burrow and why he's above Lamar and Allen, it's the fact that he's beat the man. In order to beat the man, you got to beat the man. He's the only one that's been able to, beat Patrick Mahomes. He's been to how many consecutive AFC title championships? 7?
Pat, I think, is 7 or 8.
Yeah,
it's every single year of his career that he's been a starter.
So he's been there literally every year, and he's only lost one time, and that was two times actually, to Brady and then Burrow. But of those 4 quarterbacks that we're talking about, Burrow's the only one that's been able to beat them. Now, however, when you look at what Allen and Jackson have been able to do, though, they've at least, gone to the playoffs every year, won games.
And Josh has played great. Maybe not great. He's played very well in the playoffs. There's sometimes he has played great, and Mahomes still beats him.
Yeah.
Jackson's a different story. And I think that's why Lamar is 4th, is because with Josh, it's very easy to be like, he hasn't beaten Mahomes, but it's not his fault. With Lamar, he's had some stinkers in the playoffs where you go, when the moment gets the brightest, he hasn't really done it yet.
Yeah.
Did you look at the list? Do you remember who was 5th?
I have not looked at the list.
Do you remember who I told you was 5th?
No, I know you said, I know where Jaden is.
So Jaden is 6th. Who do you think is the one quarterback who's above him?
NFC.
NFC.
All right, I get two guesses?
Sure.
Stafford.
You only needed one. Stafford is the final guy who is in tier 1. And this is pretty interesting because he has been a tier 2 player basically his entire career. Sando's been doing this since 2014. This is his first time in tier 1, and he's 37. 11 straight years in tier 2. Obviously, if this voting had happened now and this back injury where he was back in practice on Sunday and then he's out again, it's like, oh, right, he's 37. But someone goes, he's a 1. He's that good. They're a play away from the NFC Championship game last year. He worries the S out of you. I do think at the peak of his powers, if Matthew Stafford has his best day, his best quarterbacking day is tier 1. I just don't know how consistent he is going to be with that. And I would take Jaden over him. I think there's an argument to be made for Justin Herbert over him, but I can't be like, how could they possibly? Because Stafford has been so good since he's been he's been good before he was in Los Angeles. But the consistency of him is basically directly correlated to his O-line. If his O-line is good, he's as good as anyone else in the league. When they stink, he struggles a little bit more. So he's 37. He's got a bad back. I find that hard to put over the guy who's 24 and just had the best rookie season ever.
So I don't have a problem with Stafford, but you said you can make a case for Herbert?
Dude, Herbert's really good.
He is good, but he has not done anything for real, Craig.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's been a consistently excellent football player.
He's been to the playoffs
years.
Twice.
Yeah,
he lost the playoff.
but you can't make an argument for Jaden for. And
winning matters though, Craig. Herbert hasn't done much. Trevor Lawrence hasn't done much.
No, and Lawrence is way down this list. Actually,
yeah, he is.
He's in tier 3.
Deserves it.
There are people. There are people who watch quarterbacks all the time that love Herbert. For me, he's a little robotic, which is something that, I've used that term. Many others have used that term. Someone who's an executive or a coach in the piece uses that term. And the fact that he, refuses to run takes away the fact that he's a great athlete. So I would not make the argument for Herbert, but I do acknowledge he's really freaking good. To me, he's the only other guy where I would at least hear an argument for over Jaden.
You wouldn't put Hurts over him?
No. If you switch them, the
I'm
Chargers are
I'm
really.
taking Hurts over Herbert. No question.
I think you're reading too much into intangibles, and I think you're also underestimating how perfect the situation is for Hurts. I like that Hurts was top 10, by the way. He was tied. He's actually basically 10.
What about 2 years ago, though, Craig, when he went to the Super Bowl? The defense was terrible. He had one of the worst defenses.
He's played. One, they weren't terrible.
They
Two,
were bottom two.
Here's
their pass defense anyway.
Jalen Hurts has played against behind the best offensive line in football.
Okay, that
his
is fair.
Entire career.
That is fair.
He holds the football really long. If he was behind an average offensive line, that would not be good for Jalen Hurts. Again, he is lucky that the things he does exceptionally well, which are really important, are enhanced by his talent. Like, he throws the deep ball very well. He has Devontae Smith and A.J. Brown. Excellent. And he throws the ball to the outside really well. That's where his weapons are. He also, his weaknesses are masked by the team. And that the biggest one is how long he holds the ball, which we've seen crush quarterbacks' careers, and he plays behind the best offensive line in the league. I think Jalen's awesome. He's a phenomenal leader. His runnings matters. He's really accurate. He doesn't read the field at an elite level, and he holds the ball forever, and it just doesn't matter because of who he plays behind, and that's why I would have him behind a guy like Herbert. If you switch their situations, the Eagles are pretty much just as good, and the Chargers would take a significant step, like a 2-3 game step back.
Do you think Herbert can go out there and win you games?
Yes.
Okay.
He's been in the playoffs a ton. That matters.
He has. He hasn't done much.
Yeah. He's also had like these weird stinker, like last year's playoff game was such an anomaly for him.
That
he had
one,
like
and
4
then the
interceptions,
one against the Jags too.
But he had like 4 interceptions the whole season, and then threw 4 in one game. Like, it was just a bizarre game. And if he does it again, like, yes, but wins are not a quarterback stat.
That's fair.
Anyway, I would put Jaden 5. Other of note, I thought, so Herbert 7 after Jaden at 6. Goff is 8. Stroud, Hurts tied for 9th. Baker ahead of Dak and Jordan Love at 13, and then Brock Purdy at 14 to complete tier 2. I think that's probably about right. Kyler, Aaron Rodgers, Tua, Trevor Lawrence, Geno, Bo Nix, Sam Darnold, Drake May, Caleb Williams, Bryce Young, Kirk Cousins, tier 3. I feel like you could probably make an argument to move some of those guys around, but all in all, I think this is a pretty good list, which you would hope to get from 50 guys who actually work in the league. All right, when we get back, we wrap up the show with real things, real people said, in a real microphone. So in the break, Anthony sent me a TikTok of the Jonas Brothers and Demi Lovato performing at MetLife Stadium in New York. It was like my inner child is going crazy right now. So you were a big Disney Channel kid.
Man, the crazy thing is, Craig, I was just talking about this this movie with one of my friends, and I'm like, I love that song. And then for that to like pop up on her TikTok's for you page, it's crazy. I really think they be listening to us, man. I think so.
I'm not convinced they're not listening to it. Tinfoil hat. I'm not convinced they're not listening to us. However, often when you talk about things, you also search them. And then this is why, like, when you get the little pop-up when you download a new app, it's like, we would like to track so we can give you better ads. You realize that, like, the entire internet is owned by Meta and Google, right?
I mean, that would make sense then.
Like, basically everyone runs their ads through Google or Facebook. And so if you have Facebook or Google and you post about something or you search, like if you search something on Google, you are now getting ads everywhere you go based off that Google search. Well, where do we go when we want to find stuff that we want? We Google it. So, like, it's a hell of a business model, but they like own the internet. And then those companies also own, like, they interact with each other, I'm sure, on some level. And they own a lot of the social media stuff, or like Meta owns like Instagram, for instance. And TikTok, I'm sure, is tapped into that network somehow. And so, like, you wind up searching for something, and then it's like, oh, you like this? And then that affects your algorithm. I wish you could manually edit your algorithm. Like, sometimes I go to search things, and I'm like, oh, let me, and not like nefarious things. I'm not trying to say, like, go on incognito mode to search things I don't want. Like, I just know, like, for instance, I'll give you a good example. Flights. If you search a flight on Google, then, like, it knows you're looking to travel there. You're going to get inundated with, like, travel ads from airlines. And maybe if you search, like, if I'm going to Dublin, Ireland. Now it's a test because I'm not going to Dublin, but we're going to see if it's listening. Going to Dublin. And it's like, oh, well, let's get the Ireland Tourism Bureau in there. And it's like, all of a sudden it shows up on your Facebook ads. It's like, yeah, because you just Googled it. So you go into incognito mode, go into, like, Google Flights that way. Now it's not tracking you, and now you can not be bothered by ads about things.
Yeah.
Which kind of makes me wonder why we don't just use incognito mode all the time on the internet.
That's a good thought.
Just a thought.
It's extra work, though, because then you got to click the button. Like, yeah.
Yeah, and also, like, it doesn't remember any of your passwords and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah, that would be annoying.
Yeah, so, like, you got to try to do anything of substance, and it's like, I just want to check my bank balance. Whatever. I don't know. They're probably listening.
Real things.
We're not going to be sucked this year.
Real people.
5-11. Not very good.
Said into real microphones.
You know, the culture is actually damn good.
All right. Again, tomorrow on the show, don't be late. Mega, humongous, gigantic. Now that we're this late in the show, I feel like I can just say enormous, gigantic announcement to start tomorrow's show. So don't say I didn't warn you. I will also probably post a little bit more of something, hint towards the announcement on social media tomorrow morning. So if you want to follow along on Instagram at Hoffman.sports, all the other places that you can follow me, I'll post a little bit more then. So check out tomorrow morning on socials, and then tomorrow afternoon, 4 o'clock. Do not be late. And if you're like, well, this is when I get out of work, I can't listen at 4 o'clock. You are, 1, try to sneak a listen. 2, if you cannot sneak a listen, then you want to tune in on the podcast as soon as you get in, or check into the show as soon as you possibly can tomorrow. Hard Knocks out tonight, and the little sneak peek that the HBO puts out. KJ Hamler, you might remember from episode 1, his scooter, he got the wrong one. He got like a kid's scooter. All the Bills players, as they get around the campus that they have training camp on, they got the electric scooters. He accidentally got like a kiddie scooter, so it didn't really do a whole lot, except for make Curtis Samuel laugh at him.
But when I seen that clip, bro, of you and that scooter, bro, that had me in tears, bro.
Oh, this mug don't even work. Oh, there you go. I was hyped when I got the new scooter. Okay. Yeah. This mug This mug called the Scoot Scoot 3000. Real gangster. The last scooter, funny story. Probably a squirrel took it. But this, though, I'm gonna be looking like Inspector Gadget on this mug. You don't even understand.
You need a bell.
A bell? I'm too grown. It got a bell?
Wow.
They can hear me coming down the block.
Wow.
Ain't nothing like a gangster bell.
Nothing at all.
Gangster incoming. Ring, ching, ching.
I guess every scooter and like bike that you do use does come with a bell now. So
I mean, it's not a bad thing.
yeah, it's a good thing.
Yeah, it is. Although bike bells, scooter bells, they're kind of like car horns. Even when you mean to do it in a way that's nice, it comes off typically as aggressive.
Yeah.
And you're just like beep beep. Like there needs to be like a different sound for a car horn that's like, oh hello, you there on your phone? Please pay a bit of attention. The light has changed to green. Not, hey a-hole, move out of here. All right, see you tomorrow on the Hoffman Show.